All right, welcome back. So now we're talking about hamstrings. So I was explaining, to me this is more of a broad brush, so it's a more vast surface of rolling out, and it helps, right? But what I like to do is I do like the lacrosse ball, especially behind the knee coming up into the hamstrings. Because what I want to be doing is I want separation of all muscles, all muscle fiber, right? What I find is on a personal level is I have gracilis likes to adhere to my hamstrings, semitendinosus. Don't hold me accountable on my locations of muscles, but I'm pretty good. So with that being said, we're going to go medial hamstring. We're going to go all the way up to the pelvic bone, where the pelvic bone meets the hamstrings. We'll do glutes and everything else later video. And then we're going to go central, and then we're going to go lateral, right? Like I said the other day, or the other video, is we'll get into the TFL, the IT band another time, right? So what we're doing is we're looking at the knee of how to create muscular balance within the joint itself. So why I'm really hitting that home is I'm starting to see people talk about how to create or to avoid ACL destruction, right? And you'll see people doing lunges and squats, and yes, and I agree. Those are great exercises. We're going to get super in depth into that. But if you don't have muscular balance into the knee joint, and the knee itself isn't functioning properly, it's not sitting properly, you have unnecessary tension coming into the knee joint, right? So we were talking about lower limb has a great emphasis into ACL destruction. Is the calves could be too tight or i.e. underdeveloped, and then the quad becomes overdeveloped. So you have all this tension up high, you won't have the strength, and there's not equal tension below the knee, and then you sever the ACL. Can majority of ACL tears be avoided? It depends. If there's lateral impact or medial impact, no, you're done. You're not going to win that fight. But if you're in the backyard with your kid and your 40-year-old parent, male, female, doesn't matter, and you go to take off and you sever your ACL, I bet you that, I put money on it, that you could have saved your ACL if you got this video prior to that injury. So don't hold me to it. But this is what I find, and this is what I've been doing for 25 years, is I help parents, athletes, aging athletes, typically 30 and older, continue to play with their kids in the backyard and not get stupid injuries like severing your Achilles because you took off too fast and you ruptured it, right? So with that being said, we're going to put the lacrosse ball right behind, inside that knee joint. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your pelvic bone and you're going to roll it up. It's called anterior tilt. So the pelvic bone is going to go forward. You're going to draw your navel in. You're going to flex forward. So now what we're doing is we're elongating the hamstring. I'm applying pressure into the ball, and now I'm going to extend. All right, I'm going to stay on that line, flex forward, downward pressure, fire the quad, dorsiflex the ankle. So I pin, stretch, engage, pause. All right, I'm going to move forward a little bit, so I'm just following the line. I'm like mid-belly, hamstring, flex. Downward pressure, I'm starting to hinge forward. So what you're doing is you're forcing the muscle to relax, right? The Golgi tendon organ, which is the muscle, the brain of the muscle, hypothetically, is saying, oh crap, there's tension, we need to let go or we're going to tear, right? So we're using the body to elongate the hamstring, right? So we're constantly just kind of stretching it out, stretching it out, stretching it out. But the beauty of this style of self-myofascial release, muscle tissue release, is it's quick. We can use dynamic range of motion to teach that muscle a longer length, or if you want to say the proper tension going into the knee joint itself. And then we start to develop musculature. So now you're starting to create a strong, stable knee that once it's in a neutral position, it's strong. Once it's in a 90, it's strong and beyond, right? So you're working that full range of motion of that knee, and everybody's job is working together in unison. That's what we're after, is one harmonious unit. So if you look at someone that does a vertical jump, triple flexion, yes, but the big toe, right, the halix joint, is your quadruple flexion. As you take off the ground, hip, knee, ankle, plantar flexion of the foot out of the ankle, flexion of the toe, right? So we want everything to be working together. So I won't, I'm just kind of chatty here, but so now you can go medial in that hamstring, and then you're going to go lateral in that hamstring. So I'll kind of just give you an example. So I'm kind of leaning on my side, same idea, right? Anterior tilt, navel's tight. I'm going to straighten that leg out, move it back, straighten that leg out, move it back. Go. Right, so I'm all the way to that pelvic bone, right in the edge of the pelvic bone. And I can move in, I want to move in, I want to move out. This shouldn't take a long time. So hope that helps. Next video, we're actually going to take the knee, and I'm going to show you some dynamic range of motion exercises that we use to make sure that your knees are healthy, your ankles are healthy, your feet are healthy, and we're just going to build up that body.